Today we're back to myth. The missing gospel of the mother. And God saw her people living in plenty and harmony in the bosom of Mother Africa, and God was pleased. But God knew the great potential of her people and wished them to fill the earth with their descendants. A great number felt the call to leave the motherland and left, following various paths, to explore the blessings of the earth and multiply until the earth was filled. But as they explored, they found the earth was not welcoming and hospitable, but rather was full of challenges. Winter claimed many lives, floods and wild animals, and many dangers accompanied every path. And God saw the suffering of her people and was filled with sadness. Gradually, those who left to explore and multiply found themselves most of the time having to conquer great dangers and came to think of subjugating the earth, not living in harmony. Those masculine qualities of bravery and strength became favored over qualities of peace and joyfulness. Those who traveled lost their continual contact with the sun and became pale, and over time they began to fight with each other as they had fought nature for their survival. And then gradually they began to settle and manifest a dominion, but found they had lost some part of their heart. They no longer felt secure and embraced by Mother God, but felt abandoned, and they closed off that part of their heart that had felt loved and valued. And they made science, and they made the law to free themselves. But God saw that they had become trapped in great injustices, and Mother God lamented her children's pain. One day Mother God resolved to open up a new land, a land where her children could come and be free, a land of plenty, and a land where all would be equal, dark and pale, male and female. But Mother God pondered in her heart for many years before she could do this, because Mother God knew her children would not easily regain their hearts. She knew she had to send to this new land a special people of heart, those who still knew God's love. And Mother God grieved and lamented, because she knew the fate of these people, that they would have to suffer deeply at the hands of those who no longer felt loved. But without the people of the heart, Mother God knew that she could never establish the place on earth where she could dwell in harmony and peace with her children. The pale peoples had closed their hearts and become people of the intellect alone, a capable and excellent people in many ways, but a people who had too great a pain to be kind any more. And thus Mother God guided those across the ocean, fleeing from oppression and lack of freedom, and watched with great agony as they failed to love those native people who already lived there. And even more painful for Mother God was to have to watch as her people were brought from the motherland under chains and oppression to be in slavery for 400 years. But Mother God never left the hearts of her people, and watched with both deep pride and deep suffering the agony of those enduring great cruelty. And the anger and hurt of those men who had fought against the elements for so long became directed onto their slaves instead of on their wives and children. And as time passed, a wondrous thing happened. Those wives and children gradually became stronger and more free, and gained power within the society of men, until one day it became clear that women were totally the equal of men, and the time of men's dominion was over. Mother God became empowered, and found those women who could give voice to the mother who dwelled within their hearts. And women knew in their hearts the debt they owed to those who had liberated them. The great sin of slavery was ended, although it took many generations for healing to truly take place within all people. Men gradually came to see the empowerment of women as a good thing, and the new nation, already several hundred years old, came to realize there was no way forward except through embracing the heart. And it came to pass that one day Mother God said, "No more. From this time, heart will come first. No longer will violence be visited upon my people, for they have proven themselves worthy in heart. And God's people rose up and claimed themselves worthy and refused to accept any more prejudice and hatred. And Mother God loved and celebrated her children, those who had endured and absorbed so much injustice, so that their brothers and sisters and their descendants could be free. God bowed down to those who had stood strong under the greatest injustices without losing faith in their God, because finally Mother God saw she would live on earth in peace and joy with all of her children. This is Mother God, the heart of Mother God. So usually we think of God as the giver of the law, the one who will banish Adam and Eve from the garden because they didn't obey the law. And probably, we don't usually think of God as evil or cruel or anything, but that is sort of cruel. So, this myth really is to express the other side of God, which is the mother, that no mother could see her children suffering and not do something about it. That has to be the other part of God. So let's move away from the God word to original consciousness. And if we think of original consciousness as the origin of everything in the universe, then everything is the expression of that original consciousness. There's nothing in the universe that couldn't have originated from that original consciousness. So therefore, we always see everything as both masculine and feminine. So both of those things had to originate in the original consciousness. So it's really important, I think, to understand that this side of God, or this side of the original consciousness, has not just been standing back and watching from afar, but has been involved in everything, and wants to be involved in everything, and wants to be part of everybody's life. And there's not a single person on earth who could be outside of that. There's nothing in the universe that could be outside of that. So we just need to understand that, because we're the ones who judge and who consider other people to be unacceptable. So it's time to go beyond the cruelty. It's time to go beyond everything that has separated us. And it's time to find universal peace and love.